my name is Leone McComas. I'm a visual artist and designer, and I've been an artist for officially since 2013, but in my head it's not until the 2016. So, I actually went to OCAD for illustration. So the way I went about it was quite roundabout. I went in for illustration, ended up in the art program, realized I was in the wrong program, went back into illustration. And in my third year I ended up getting into a program that was for artists, but I had a really good teacher who recommended me for the program. So that's when I started actually exploring art and being surrounded by other artists who influenced me in a really good way and really got me thinking more like beyond design concepts, which we focused on more in illustration, thinking about like painting more intuitively, letting the painting lead you rather than having everything sorted out before you start communicating. So once I had that experience, I realized that illustration wasn't really for me. It didn't really move me in the same way, and so I started, afterwards I started pursuing it. So I actually approach it quite similarly as I did with illustration. So I start with sketches, and I try and lock down a really good composition, because very often like your first couple ideas are kind of, they have like the essence, but they're not really tight, they're not as compelling as they could be. So I try and push it as much as I can through sketching. And then once I've reached that stage, I go straight to painting, because I find that if I start painting little studies, a lot of the energy gets lost. But I know a lot of painters like doing that because you can sort out a lot of the visual issues beforehand. But there's something about hitting the canvas like straight, like running, like no barriers, just going straight for it. And then I have other pieces that are more influenced by digital processes. So they actually start with a photograph I've taken, and then I actually take sections of the painting and move it around like a paintbrush, because I'm interested in the idea of an image basically being a paintbrush, and recreating a new image with the same image. So it starts there, and then I go to sketching, and then I actually paint it. Yeah, no, that's a really good question, because when I do illustration, it's really silly. Like, it's just really goofy stuff, which I think has its place. It's like, it's also really fun to do stuff like that, but with painting, it feels like a different part of me is unlocked. It kind of requires a different kind of concentration, I think. Something about the actual paint. And so I really enjoy the fact that I concentrate for longer. I really enjoy the fact that I don't know what's going to come out of the other end of that painting. Like, I kind of have an idea, and then the final product seems to say more to me about the time that I'm in than even just thinking about it. Like, it takes you like that much further in your awareness, I think. I would say that there's a lot of hesitation and maybe misunderstanding about art and art as a career as well. Like, I find that a lot of people, the general idea of art as a career is that you're kind of off and you're living this kind of like loosey-goosey life, and you paint on canvas and then you sell it for millions. But it's really something that you have to protect when you, like, the further along you go in your career, because there's always things that demand your time. And I find it would be really good if people would kind of understand how much it takes to like really to make a painting, like beyond actually painting, like the outside, like the personal life, or the challenges of being taken seriously, even like getting a platform, all the marketing that goes behind making sure that your work gets seen. Like it's such a intense process, painting, and then also to like find a place for it. And I think a lot of people are afraid about the amount that it takes, and so it kind of also maybe stops them from supporting artists. So if everyone would get a little bit more supportive, I think the art scene would really just explode. That's a funny question, because I'm like, I don't want my work to give too much of myself away, you know, like too much at once, but I don't know what they should know. I actually don't know. I'm definitely an emerging artist. I would say that emerging means, for me it's more about, it's like one part establishing yourself and one part also like really fine-tuning your voice. So I feel like when you're mid-career, you've got your voice like locked down, and then you have several platforms for it as well. So I would say I'm like working towards that.